Good morning, class. My name is Mr. Disease. I'm your new geometry teacher for the school year 2020-2021. So I know we have been out of school since March. So many of you have not exposed to math. I know it's a challenge, but this year, as a team, we will work as a group to do the best we can to see how we can get back to normal. So we always try to do our best that the minimum requirement are maximum from you. So since we are in geometry, many of you know geometry is a course that's required by the state of Florida. That's its a requirement for graduation. And the main difference between geometry and algebra is the following. In algebra, mainly they give you the equation, then you solve. In geometry, they give you a concept, they give you a definition. With that definition, with that concept, you have to create an equation, and you solve the equation, then you answer the question that being asked. That will be your main goal. So whatever you do in this class, most of the time the equation will not be given to you. You have to create the equation based on the terminology that you receive in the reading. Then you will create an equation, then you will solve. So mainly now, my goal is to help you create that equation. And once you get that equation, hopefully you already know how to solve, then you will be able to get home. So to make sure that you have that basic foundation, we're gonna do some work practice on solving equation variable on both sides. That will be the most difficult thing you will face in geometry, how to solve an equation variable on both sides. Once I know that you can do the following, you can solve easily, I will see that you will be ready to go easily in this class. And the other thing I will help you out. Remember, in geometry, you have to know the definition. The definition will help you. Now we have the concept is solving equation with variable on both sides. Now the goal is that what make it an equation? In order to have an equation, you must have an equal sign. If there's no equal sign, the equation does not exist. So this telling you this is one side, this is the other side. So I will make a double line that will tell me that my side 1, this is my side 2. Remember that since you identify you have an equation, so whatever you do on one side, you have to do it on the other side. If you don't do that, your equation will not be balanced. And one thing you have to notice also when you solve an equation, your objective is to have your variable positive as possible. Then that will simplify things, that will make that easy for you. So since I have a negative 3e, I need this to be cancelled. In order for it to be cancelled, I have to introduce a positive 3e. That will be the addition property of equality. So since I add 3e on that side, I must also add 3e on the other side. Otherwise, if I don't do that, the equation will not be balanced. It's an equilibrium. Whatever weight you put on one side, you have to put it on the other side so it can be balanced at all times. In this case, this 3e, the positive 3e and the negative 3e will cancel out. Now the only thing you have left on that side is the 2. You bring the 2 and you bring down your equal sign. Now, additionally, to start, you have a 5e. Since you bring a 3e on the other side, now you end up with 5e plus 3e is equal to 8e. And you bring your negative 4 down. Now, that was the first step. This is now you are in the second step. Your goal is to have the variable on one side and the numbers on one side. Now I have all my variable on one side. Then this I need to get rid of it. In order to get rid of the negative 4, I have to do addition property of equality. I always have to do the inverse. Therefore, since it's negative 4, I have to add a 4. Remember, since I add 4 on that side, I have to go and add 4 on that side. So you will end up with this 4 cancel with that. You will end up with 8e. E is equal. you have a 2, then you have a positive 4. Now you have a 2 plus 4 is 6. You bring down the 6. Now you are in the final step in that equation, which is the step 3. I have AE, which is multiplication, and the inverse of multiplication is division. So you always have to do inverse operation. So I have to divide both sides by 8. Since I divide this side by 8, I have to divide this side by 8. So you will end up with 8 goes to 8, cancel out, then you bring down the E. Now you have 6 over 8. Since they have 2 in common, you have to simplify that. I have to divide this by 2, then I must divide my numerator by 2 and my denominator by 2. As you said, 2 goes, how many times there's 2 goes to 6? That's 3 times. And you bring your division by, and how many times there's 2 goes to 8? That's 4 times. Now your final answer is E is equal to 3/4. Now, if you want to verify that, you have to go back in the original equation. Wherever you see E, you replace it by 3/4. Now, I will have negative 3 times 3/4 plus 2 equal 5 times 3/4 minus 4. Then you work it out. Then it has to be checked out. So that's how you solve. So I know many of you will have questions asked. Automatically, I need to have questions. I will have plenty of questions. Don't worry, this is just a process, and I know you've been out of school for so long. I expect you to have mistakes. I expect you to see that a lot of problems going on. It's okay. Just remain calm. We're gonna get there. We will have the first 9 weeks to do remediation to bring you back to par. Don't flip out yet. So don't give up. This is a just beginning. We will have to do that and over again. By the time we will have enough time to get to normal. Remember that if you see it's challenge, for now, don't worry. Take your time. Assess what's going on, go back your adding and subtracting, multiplication, many other operation. Those are the things that gonna wake you. Many of you know the process. It's the mechanical work that will give you problem. The adding, the multiplying, the dividing, the subtracting. Those are the ones that's gonna be your trouble. That's what you need to work on. Other than that, many of you already have a thumb up, a big check, you have no problem. Then you are the guys that I will not worry about. I will put you on a group by group class so you can continue with the class project. Remember your goal. In order to be successful in geometry, you have to know how to solve equation variable on both sides. So the first 9 weeks is mainly remediation and definition. Once you get those things, then you will be okay. I guarantee you that. So don't worry about the grade now. So it will work out. If you make the investment, you make the time, it will work out. Hello guys, once again, this is Mr. Dismiss. I have another videos on how to solve equation with variable on both sides. So I'm gonna model for you how to solve equation variable on both sides. This is one of the type of equation you're going to find in geometry, which is an intervention in Algebra 1. So this is the original equation. So remember that the reason it is called an equation is because you have an equal side. So the strategy that I usually use, so I'll make a double bar between the equal side, and I'll label this as my side 1 and my side 2. So my goal is to get the variable on one side and the constant in one side. So another strategy that you need to use is to keep your variable positive as possible. In this case, I notice that I have a negative 6z, and on the other side I have a positive 9z. So I want my variable to be positive. So it's a good strategy to get rid of the negative 6z by doing inverse operation. So I will have to add 6z on that side. And remember, it's in the equation, it is a balance. And if I have 6z on that side, I must add 6z on the other side. Otherwise, the equation will not be balanced. One side will be more than the other side. So in order to let it even at equilibrium point, I have to add the same weight on each side. On side 1, this cancel out. You will end up with 28 equal. So I have a positive 9z since there was no sign in front of it, and a plus 6z that will end up with is 15z. Then you bring down the negative 2. Now I have all of my variable on one side. So I notice that I have a negative 2 next to the z. So I need to get rid of that. In order to get rid of that, remember you do inverse operation. So I will add 2, which is addition postulate. So now I end up on that side, the 2 cancel out, will end up with 15z. Alright, bring my equal sign down. Then I have 28 plus 2, which is 30. Now I have one more step to go. So since I need my z to be by itself, so since multiplication, this is 15z, this is an indication of multiplication. The inverse of multiplication is to divide. I will have to divide by 15 on each side. Then after my objective, I get z by itself. So since the invisible one is the coefficient, and for it, that's our goal. Now on that side, that needs to be simplified. I have 15 divided by, I have 30 divided by 15. In this case, we'll ask yourself how many times this 15 goes to 30. In this case, it's 2 times. This is your final step. So as of now, in order to bring your confidence up, so you need to verify that once you know you're on the right track, so you will not have to do that. So I know z is 2. So I will come here, I will have a negative 6 times 2 plus 28. That's for that side. So when I take negative 2, I multiply negative 6 multiplied by 2, just negative 12. And plus a 28, this will give me a positive 16. This side is 16. In order for that to be worked, that side has to be 16. If this side is not equal to 16, that tells me it's not right. So I will have 9 multiplied by 2 and take away 2. 9 times 2 is 18. And you subtract 2 from 18 is 16. In this case, you see that 16 is equal to 16. Then it will be checked. So that's an equation, how to solve equation variable on both sides. I know many of you will see that it's a little challenge, so I will tell you don't worry, it's a process. Math is something that goes progression, it's step. You get a portion, and the next time you get another portion, all of this sudden that you build in your confidence and you will get everything. So this is a new school year. Many of you have been out for a long time, so it will take time to get the worst out of the way, and hopefully you're gonna get to par. So there will be another video coming that's in topic. So once you can do at least 5 of that, so you will be on the right track. So don't worry if you shouldn't get it at this time. Hey guys, this is Mr. DC. Who's gonna model a lesson on solving equation with variable on both sides for you. So the objective is that when you're solving an equation with variable on both sides, your goal is to isolate the variable. In this case, the reason why it is called an equation is because of these guys here, we call the equal side. If you do not have the equal side, you do not have an equation. Therefore, the strategy that you can use is to separate your side. put a double line between the equal sign and label this as your side 1 and label this as your side 2. The objective is that whatever you do on side 1, you have to do it on side 2. And your main goal is to have, you have variable on both sides, is to have the variable on one side and the numbers on one side. And one of other strategies that you need to use is to keep your variable positive as possible. Now, I know I have 2x here and I have 6x, both of them positive. Therefore, I'm going to try to eliminate the lesser variable on both sides. So I'm subtracting 2x on that side. And if I'm subtracting 2x on that side, I have to subtract 2x on that side. If you don't do that, your variable will not be balanced. It will not be equilibrium. In this case, this cancels with this. The only thing you have on side number 2 is the 5. Then here you do the operation. You have a positive 6x and you're taking 2x away from it, you will end up with 4x. And you bring down the negative 7. Remember, your goal is to have the variable on one side. I already have the variable on one side, but it's not alone. It has the negative 7 next to it. I need to get rid of the negative 7. And my goal is to do inverse operation. In this case, I will add 7, which is addition property. So I will add 7. Remember, if I add 7 on that side, I have to add 7 on the other side. This cancels with this order. Now you end up on side 1 is 4x is equal 5 plus 7. And when you calculate 5 plus 7 is 12, then you will end up 4x on side 1 is equal to 12 on side 2. Now, you almost have x by itself. With the exception, you have a coefficient of 4. You need to get rid of that 4. In order to get rid of that 4, I will have to do inverse operation. The inverse operation of multiplication is division. So I will apply division property of equality. So if I divide this side by 4, I will have to divide this side by 4. Then the 4 cancel with the 4 and you bring the x. Now you get x by itself, so you have an invisible one. It is not necessary to put the 1 in front of the variable. If you don't see it, it's an invisible one. That's our goal, is to have x by itself. Now you have 12 over 4. You cannot leave it this way. You have to simplify that. So ask yourself, how many times less 4 goes to 12? And the answer is 3. And this is your final answer. If you only want to check your answer, you will have to go to plug 3 here. That will be 6 times 3. You will end up with 6 times 3, take away 7. And you will have to come on that side is 2 times 3 plus 5. Those two expressions need to be equal to each other. So we'll have 6 times 3, which is 18. And 18 take away 7 is 11. So you have on that side, we'll have 2 times 3 is 6. 6 plus 5 is 11. This tells you that 11 is equal to 11. That's how you check it. So that the reason. So I know it's a new lesson and many of you have been out of school for so long. So that will be your goal. In geometry, this is one of the most difficult equations you will have to solve. An equation with variable on both sides. Once you can do this, guys, you are ready to do geometry. The challenge in geometry is to learn the key terms. Once you know the key terms and you know the terminology, you will be able to write your equation. And once you have the equation, you will be able to solve. So if you see that now, you see a lot of confusion is going on, I'm telling you, just chill down, take a big breath, relax. So we'll have to do plenty of that, which is intervention to Algebra 1. So if you're not up to par, is my goal, is my responsibility to help you get to par. So the only thing I'm asking from you is to study the key term of geometry. Once you understand the key term of geometry and you write your equation and you will be able to solve and you answer the question that being asked of you. See you guys on that video. There's another one coming next. Hey guys, this is Mr. This your new math geometry teacher for the school year 2021. So our objective for this week is mainly to get set up, know your teacher, know who's belonging in this class. So since we know we've been out of school since March, it's been a while, you have not do any math. I know that it's been a long time, so it's gonna take a while before we can get back on track. So our objective for this week is to start do some practice mainly on how to solve equation with variable on both sides. This will give me an indication how much you have written, how much you have know so far. Then based on this information, then I will be using to guide you for this school year. I know it's gonna be a challenge, but we can always try to do our best. That's the only thing I'm asking from you. Do the best you can to get to normal. So I know we're not in a normal situation, but we can always try. So our goal is to solve some equation. Then based on that, I will know how much you know, how much we have to work as a team. So by the end of this week, by Friday, so you will get some evaluation. Whatever we do now will be practice that will get you back in the game. So let's try those equations, solve equation. If you have minus 3e plus 2 is equal to 5e minus 4. In order to solve the equation, as you notice that you have variable on both sides. Your goal is to have the variable on one side and the constant on one side. You need all of your variable on one side and the constant, the number on one side. So remember, in math, what makes it an equation is the equal side. The equal side telling you have two sides. Whatever you do on one side, you have to do it on the other side. All right. So one objective is to maintain your variable as positive as possible. In this case, I have a negative 3e. I don't want that negative 3e, so I will try to get rid of that. So whatever I do on that, I have to do inverse operation. Since it's negative 3e, I will have to add 3e. That's the only way it's going to cancel out. Since it's in the equation, it has to be balanced. If I have 3e on this side, I have to add 3e on the other side. So this will cancel out. We'll end up with negative 2 equal, you have a 3e plus another 3e that will give you 8e. And you bring the minus 4. So in this case, what you will have to do, now I have my variable on one side, I need to move this guy on the other side. I will have to add a 4 on each side. Then you will end up, this will cancel out. When you are equal sign, you end up with 8e is equal. When you have a negative 4, you have a positive 4, you will end up with a 2. Your goal is to get e by itself. I have to do inverse operation. I have a 8e, which is multiplication, and the inverse of multiplication is division. So I will have to divide both sides by 8. In this case, it cancels. Now you will have a is equal to 8 over 4. A 2 over 8. This has to be simplified. So if I divide this by 2 and I divide this by 2, I will end up 2 goes to 2 one time and 2 goes to 8 4 times. Then this is my final answer. Then that's how you solve it. So if you want to replace it to evaluate that, then both sides need to be equal to each other. and that's how you solve. So I know we just begin, it's just a beginning, it's a new normal. Many of you will know what to do, many of you will not, so that's how you will do. Hello guys, welcome to, you said this is geometry class and intervention to Algebra 1. So as you know that solving is a big concept in geometry, especially when you solve with variable on both sides. So we have an equation on the board. So what I already did for you, since this is the equal sign, that's making an equation. So I will divide the two sides to let me know how to work my dot on the wall. So I keep, this is my side 1, this is my side 2. So now I have v's everywhere. So this was usually a v, so you can put an invisible 1 in front of it, that make it a negative 1v plus 5 plus 4v. So those are like them. You can combine the negative 1v plus the 4v, you will end up with 3v. And you bring down the plus 5, then is equal to, on that side, I have numbers everywhere. Those are like terms. So I can take the 1 and the 2, add them up, that will give me 4. And you bring down the 5v. So you simplify that variable that we're on the same side. So we have not done anything, we just simplify your variable and you simplify the numbers. So in this case, your new equation, when you simplify, will end up with 3v plus 5 on that side is equal to 4 plus 5v. Now your goal is to have v on one side. So as you can see, on side 1 you have 3v, on side 2 you have 5v. So the good thing, both of them are positive. Since both of them are positive, you subtract the lesser one from this side. You subtract 3v on that side, and you also subtract 3v on that side. So when you work this out, these will cancel each other out. So we'll end up with 5 is equal to 4. Then you have a positive 5v, and you take away 2v from that, that will give you negative 2v. So you will end up with 4 minus 2v is equal to 5. So now you almost have v by itself. So the next step you will have to do, this is end up with a positive 2v. So when you have positive 5, you take away 3v from that, is give you a positive 2v. So you need to move the 4 on the other side. So in this case, you will do inverse operation, you subtract 4 from inside. So you have 5, you take away 4 from that is 1, and is equal to 2v. Now you want to get v by itself, so you divide each side by 2. So your final answer is v is equal to 1/2. Some of you will have problem with that. There's nothing wrong with that. If you use a calculator, that's equivalent to 0.5, right? Otherwise, your answer is automatically right as it is. Keep it as a fraction. If they don't tell you to change it, fraction is the best, is the most accurate. So now, if you want to reevaluate that, you can come here. Since you want to simplify, for you will say is 3 times 1/2 plus 5. Right on that side, that is 3 times 1/2 is 3/2 plus 5. And many of you will have problem with that. So the easiest thing to do is put this over 1. You need to have a common denominator. I know many of you will get lost, so don't worry. So just see what I'm going to do. You want your denominator to be 2, so the only thing with this is multiply this by 2. If I multiply this by 2, I will have to multiply this by 2. So this end up 3/2 plus 2 times 5 is 10/2. So if you take 10/2, if you take and divide by 2, so you still have 5. So now you can combine them. So you have 3 plus 10 is 13. So this answer will be, on that side will be 13/2. So you will have to do the same thing on the other side. If I come here, I have 4 plus 5 times 1/2. Alright. So remember, this is a 4, and this is that. So when you do this, that's what you will have to do. So you will have 4 is equal to 5/2. So you want this to be 5. This is our denominator. So you will have to multiply this by 2, and you will have to multiply this by 2. On that side, you will end up with 8/2. On that side, you will end up with 5/2. Now you take 8 plus 5 is 13, and you keep the 2. So this side is 13/2. This side is 13/2. Therefore, 13/2 is equal to 13/2. You don't have to do that. So I'm telling you as a newbie, as a beginner, that's what you will have to do to check your work. So that will give you confidence. So when you come in later in this course, when you do your work, you will know that you know how to source. So it's not required to check it out. So as early in the game, so that's how you have to verify your work. And many of you, your head gonna start flip there because you have problem with fraction. So throughout the course, we'll have to work on those topics which are the killer, which is fraction. All right. So don't let that be a big deal for now. So that will be hopefully the final video that I will upload on the class tutorial. So it will work for any one of you who have problem. You can go on the tutorial so to work this out, to watch videos, or you can do research on YouTube. And if you're using YouTube to do research, just solve the equation with variable on both sides, you're gonna get those stuff. You're gonna get a ton of information on those topics. See you. Hopefully that you're doing great.